That $50 tip became the most expensive gratuity in healthcare IT history. He handed it to me with a smile like he was doing me a favor. "This is your real value, Wade," Charles Whitfield said, sliding the crisp bill across his mahogany desk. "You should be grateful. I'm Wade Hartwell, 47 years old, and until that moment I was the guy who saved Fortress Health Systems from a $2 million regulatory fine. The guy who turned them from bankruptcy risk into a profitable healthcare IT company in 18 months. The guy whose HIPAA compliance system was processing 40% more patient data with 0 violations. But let me back up to how we got there. 20 minutes earlier, I was standing in the back of our anniversary celebration watching Charles thank me in one sentence before erasing me in the next. "I want to recognize Wade Hartwell for his excellent technical work this year," he said into the microphone, "but going forward, this company needs visionary leadership. So from today, my son Preston will be stepping into Wade's role." The room went quiet for maybe 3 seconds. Then came the polite applause, the kind you hear when nobody knows what else to do. I stood with the people who actually kept the place running: Danny from IT, Carl from compliance, a few others who knew what it really took to keep hospital data flowing without triggering federal audits. Preston Whitfield, 26 years old, fresh MBA from somewhere expensive, nodded seriously next to his father like he'd climbed the same mountain I had instead of taking the family elevator. Never spent a day troubleshooting database connections or explaining to hospital administrators why their patient records were locked for emergency maintenance. The projector behind Charles showed my work, the transformation from compliance nightmare to industry leader. 18 months of nights and weekends rebuilding their entire patient data infrastructure, my system architecture, my HIPAA protocols, my security frameworks. You wouldn't know it from that slide, though. My name wasn't anywhere on it. After the crowd started moving toward the bar, I walked straight to Charles's office. Security didn't stop me. I was the guy who'd fixed their access system the month before. The door was unlocked. Charles was alone, jacket off, tie loose, looking like a man who'd just solved his biggest problem. "Wade," he said when I walked in, "did you enjoy the speech?" I closed the door. "You promised this role was earned by performance. You've seen the metrics. You know who built this." He smiled, not wide, just enough to make his point. "I know exactly what you did here, Wade. You handled the technical side very competently, I'll add, but leadership is different. You're a systems guy, not a strategic thinker. You told me when I took this contract that results would speak for themselves. We went from facing regulatory shutdown to processing patient data with 0 compliance violations. That's business transformation, not just technical work. And you've been compensated appropriately," he said. "But this company needs to evolve beyond keeping the lights on." That's when he opened his desk drawer, pulled out his wallet, flipped through some bills and slid that single $50 note across the desk. Didn't even stand up to do it. "This is your real value here. You should take it and be grateful." For a moment, all I heard was air conditioning and distant party noise. I looked at that bill, crisp and new, worth less than what I spent on gas driving here weekends to fix their server crashes. I looked back at Charles. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice, didn't give him what he wanted. I picked up the 50, folded it once, put it in my wallet. "Thank you," I said. He looked disappointed, like he'd expected a bigger reaction. That's it. I walked out thinking Charles believed he'd won, that I'd accepted his assessment and would quietly disappear. What he didn't understand was that overnight, Fortress Health Systems had shifted from owning their infrastructure to renting it, and the rent had just come due. See, when I arrived 18 months ago, they weren't just struggling, they were clinically dead. Patient data scattered across incompatible systems, HIPAA violations piling up daily, state health department breathing down their necks. Maybe 6 weeks before mandatory shutdown, I didn't come in as an employee. I insisted on structuring it as a vendor relationship through my company, Hartwell Security Solutions. Charles pushed back initially. "Why can't we just make you a director?" he asked during our first meeting. "Because directors get fired when politics change," I replied. "Vendors control delivery, architecture, and maintain ownership of their intellectual property. You get a solution that works. I get protection for my work." He looked at the numbers, potential fines, client exodus, regulatory closure, and agreed. Legal drafted the contract. I read every line, then rewrote several sections. By the time we signed, the agreement had 3 clauses that mattered more than all the others. The healthcare compliance platform remained intellectual property of Hartwell Security Solutions. Fortress had a license to use it as long as they maintained active support and didn't attempt reverse engineering. Either party could terminate with 90 days notice, but there was Section 4.3 about operational oversight changes. If Fortress materially altered my designated role or replaced me without written agreement, Hartwell Security Solutions could terminate the license immediately or transition to read-only mode for up to 30 days. The system I built wasn't just software, it was the nervous system of their entire operation. Patient data intake, HIPAA compliance monitoring, state reporting automation, security breach prevention, everything flowed through architectures that existed on my servers, validated through my security protocols, certified under my professional license. So when Charles handed me that $50 and called it my real value, he wasn't just insulting me. He was triggering Section 4.3. I went home that night and opened my laptop, logged into the control systems that belonged to Hartwell Security Solutions, not Fortress Health Systems. The licensing server showed their status: active license, renewal in 12 days. Support contract active, 8 months remaining. Operational oversight tied to Wade Hartwell, professional certification current. At 1:15 a.m., I initiated the transition protocol. The system didn't crash, nothing broke, data stayed intact. But at 9 a.m. the next morning, everything shifted to read-only mode. New patient intake stopped. Compliance reports froze. State regulatory submissions halted. The automatic monitoring that prevented HIPAA violations went dark. By 9:05, help desk was getting calls from every hospital client. My phone rang at 9:12. Charles's direct line. "Wade," he said. Sounding breathless, "We have a situation." "I know, the system isn't processing. New records are stuck. Clients are calling non-stop. What did you do? Nothing broke. Your license transitioned to read-only mode as specified in Section 4.3 of our agreement." That clause was about sabotage, about outside interference. That clause was about unilateral changes to operational oversight. Yesterday you announced you were replacing me with your son without discussion, without amendment, without mutual agreement. That triggered it. You can't just shut us down. I didn't shut anything down. The platform is running. Your data is safe. You can read everything. You just can't write anything new. No new patient records, no updated compliance reports, no regulatory submissions. Muffled voices in the background, Preston's voice cutting in. "Tell him we're working on a solution." Which team? The developers who understood the system work for Hartwell Security Solutions. The security certifications that validate client data access are tied to my professional license. The automated compliance monitoring that keeps you out of trouble with the state runs on my infrastructure. Silence. By noon, the first hospital sent an email to my personal address. "Wade, our systems are showing compliance errors. If you're no longer with Fortress, we need to talk directly. We don't care about company politics. We care about patient data security." 3 more hospitals sent similar messages within an hour, different variations of the same theme. "If Wade isn't on this, we're not staying." Charles called again at 2:30. "We need to meet. I'm not on your payroll anymore. We negotiate. We don't meet." "Fine. Boardroom C, 400. I'll be there. But understand something first. I'm not coming to fix your problem. I'm coming to explain your options." At 4 sharp, I walked into that boardroom. Charles was there looking like he'd aged 5 years since morning. Preston pacing by the window, expensive suit wrinkled, looking like someone had just explained that MBA theory doesn't override federal healthcare regulations. 2 board members sat at the table. A speakerphone in the center carried someone important enough to dial in but not show up. I didn't sit immediately. I took out my wallet, pulled out that $50 and placed it in the center of the conference table. "What's that supposed to mean?" Preston demanded. "Your father called this my real value yesterday. Today it represents the most expensive tip in healthcare IT history." The voice on the speakerphone cut in. "Mr. Hartwell, what are our options? Option 1. You stick with current management structure. Preston runs operations. You treat this as a temporary technical glitch and hope your clients stay patient while you rebuild 18 months of work from scratch?" And Charles asked. "The system stays in read-only mode. In 12 days, when the license expires, everything shuts down completely. You're free to start over with a new vendor, assuming you can find one willing to take on a company facing active HIPAA violations and client defection." Preston's face went red. "That's extortion. That's contract enforcement. You wanted leadership experience. This is what leadership looks like when you don't understand the infrastructure you're trying to manage." Option 2. The board member asked. "You acknowledge reality. The healthcare compliance system stays licensed through Hartwell Security Solutions. Operational oversight remains with the architect who built it. That gets written into any future change of control arrangements." Preston started to object. His father held up a hand. "What else?" Charles asked quietly. "First, you sign a new 5-year licensing agreement at market rate. Given that we're no longer a desperate company and you are, that rate reflects current value. Second, you issue a correction to yesterday's announcement. Preston isn't replacing anyone. If you want to give him a title, make it something that doesn't touch live operations. Third, you never again tell anyone that professional expertise is worth $50. How much would the new licensing cost? The voice on the phone asked. $180,000 annually, plus equity stake and guaranteed operational control. My name goes on every HIPAA certification document because federal regulations require it. The room went quiet, and if we refuse, Preston asked, then that $50 becomes a souvenir. The last petty insult you got away with before spending 2 years trying to rebuild something you never understood. How long would rebuilding take? The board member asked. 18 months minimum, with an unlimited budget, perfect team, and full client cooperation. Most healthcare IT companies would refuse the contract entirely. Too much regulatory liability. And with you, system comes back online 30 minutes after signed agreements hit my email. Charles closed his eyes for a moment. You're asking us to admit we made a mistake. I'm asking you to stop pretending that family connections override federal compliance requirements. Call it whatever you want in the press release. Strategic partnership, recommitment to technical excellence, enhanced regulatory focus. Just stop lying to yourself about who actually runs this operation. They signed within the hour. Preston got reassigned to business development, which meant he got to attend conferences and shake hands with potential clients while staying away from anything that could trigger regulatory violations. The system came back online at 5:47 p.m. that same day. Danny from IT stopped by my desk the next morning. Glad you're still here, he said. Thought we were done when you walked out yesterday. Carl from compliance nodded agreement. We all knew who really kept this place running. I didn't respond to most of the messages like that. Not because I didn't appreciate it, but because this had stopped being about appreciation the moment Charles threw that $50 at me like a tip. The weeks that followed settled into a new rhythm. Charles still ran the company, still took the calls, still did the presentations. But he stopped using words like temporary when talking about my role. He learned that technical decisions flowed through me now through contracts that specified exactly what happened if anyone tried to change that arrangement. Preston lasted another 3 months before quietly leaving to explore other opportunities. None of our hospital clients followed him. None of our staff did either. Turns out MBA theory doesn't translate well to healthcare data security when you've never actually handled patient information. 6 months after the anniversary disaster, Charles appeared at my office door. No cameras, no audience. Just him and the steady hum of servers processing patient data behind reinforced glass. You could have let it all burn, he said. I did let it burn. You just didn't realize what I'd taken with me when I walked out. And what was that? I gestured toward the monitoring screen showing system uptime, compliance status, client satisfaction metrics. Your illusion that technical expertise was replaceable. He nodded slowly, looked older now, smaller somehow. I was wrong about your value, I know. The difference is that what you think doesn't determine it anymore. He didn't argue with that. The real test came 8 months later during our annual compliance audit. State health department sent their best team. The kind that shows up expecting to find violations and find companies into bankruptcy. They spent 3 days going through our systems with digital microscopes, checked every access log, every data transfer, every security protocol. At the end, the lead auditor pulled me aside. This is the cleanest healthcare IT operation we've audited in 5 years, she said. Your compliance architecture should be the industry standard. That evaluation went straight to every hospital client we served. Word spreads fast in healthcare IT when the state calls your system exemplary. New clients started calling. Competitors started asking how we managed perfect compliance scores. Charles found me in the server room the day after the audit results went public. We were alone, except for the constant background hum of cooling systems and data processing. I owe you an apology, he said. You owe me recognition, I replied. There's a difference. He was quiet for a moment. The board wants to make you Chief Technology Officer. Official title, equity package, the works. I'm already running the technology. What I want is something else. What's that? A guarantee that this conversation never happens again. That my role never gets questioned by anyone who doesn't understand the regulatory requirements of what we do. Done, he said immediately. That's when I knew he finally understood. Not just that I was valuable, but that the company literally couldn't function without the systems I'd built. Every patient record, every compliance report, every security protocol, it all depended on architectures that existed nowhere else. The new contract we signed that week wasn't just about money or titles. It was about control. Operational control over every system that touched patient data. Veto power over any technology decision that could impact compliance. Written guarantees that my professional certifications would remain tied to all critical operations. Most importantly, it included succession planning. If something happened to me, the transition had to be managed through Hartwell Security Solutions. No more family appointments to technical roles. No more MBAs making decisions about healthcare data security. Danny got promoted to Deputy Systems Administrator, Carl became Chief Compliance Officer. The people who'd actually kept things running while Preston was learning the family business got the recognition they deserved. A year after the $50 incident, we won a contract with the largest hospital network in the state. They specifically requested that Wade Hartwell personally oversee their data migration, not Fortress Health Systems, me by name. Charles called me into his office the day we signed that deal. Different energy this time. He was standing when I walked in, no power games with staying seated. "This contract changes everything for us," he said. "We're not just a regional player anymore, we're competing with the national firms." "Because we have the best compliance record in the industry," I replied. "Because you have the best compliance record in the industry," he corrected. That acknowledgement mattered more than the money, though the money was substantial. What mattered was that Charles had finally learned the difference between having a title and earning respect. The framed $50 bill on my office wall became something of a legend around the company. New employees would ask about it. Danny would tell them it was the most expensive tip in corporate history. I'd explain it differently. That $50 represented the moment when someone tried to put a price on expertise that couldn't be bought, only built. When privilege tried to override competence and learned exactly how much it actually cost to keep the lights on. Late some nights, when I'm reviewing system logs and compliance reports, I think about that anniversary celebration. How confident Charles looked announcing Preston's promotion. How certain he was that technical work was interchangeable. He learned better. They all did. The healthcare industry runs on trust. Patients trust hospitals with their most sensitive information. Hospitals trust companies like ours to keep that data secure. That trust isn't built through family connections or MBA presentations. It's built through systems that work every single day without fail. And the people who build those systems were not just technical support, we're the foundation everything else stands on. Remember that the next time someone tries to hand you pocket change and call it your real value, smile, take it, walk away if you need to. Then make sure they understand exactly what they're really paying for. 2 years later, I was invited to speak at the National Healthcare IT Security Conference. The topic, building resilient compliance architectures in family-owned healthcare companies. I stood on that stage looking out at 500 healthcare IT professionals and told them about a CEO who once handed me $50 and called it my real value. The room went dead quiet. Then someone in the back started clapping. Within seconds, the entire auditorium was on their feet. After the presentation, a dozen people approached me with similar stories. Senior database administrators replaced by owners' nephews. Network security experts bypassed for family friends with business degrees. Compliance officers pushed aside for relatives who'd never read a HIPAA regulation. Every single one of them had built something critical. Every single one had been treated like replaceable technical support. That's when I realized this wasn't just my story. This was the story of every expert who'd ever been dismissed by someone who confused a title with competence. The healthcare industry started taking notice. 3 major medical journals published articles about the Fortress Health turnaround. Not about Charles's leadership vision or Preston's strategic thinking. About the technical architecture that prevented $2 million in fines and created industry-leading compliance scores. Harvard Business School reached out about doing a case study. They wanted to understand how vendor relationships could protect institutional knowledge when family businesses prioritize connections over competence. I agreed to the interview on one condition. They had to talk to Danny, Carl, and the other technical staff who'd actually kept things running. This wasn't a story about one person saving a company. This was about recognizing the people who do the real work. The case study got published 6 months later. Technical expertise as strategic asset, the Fortress Health Systems transformation. Business schools started teaching it as an example of proper vendor relationship structuring and succession planning in family enterprises. Charles called me the day the Harvard study went live. He sounded different. Proud, maybe. We're famous, he said. You're famous, I replied. I'm just the guy who did the work. That's not how the article reads. He said it's very clear about who was responsible for our success. Good, I said. Accuracy matters. The money was substantial now. Healthcare IT security had become a specialty field, and specialists with proven compliance records could name their price. But the money wasn't the point anymore. The point was that every hospital administrator who called knew exactly what they were buying, not just software or consulting hours. They were buying the expertise of someone who'd built systems that worked under pressure, someone whose professional certification was worth more than any MBA's theoretical knowledge. My daughter started her junior year at Northwestern studying computer science. She'd grown up watching me work nights and weekends, seeing what it took to build something reliable. Dad, she asked during winter break, why did you stay at Fortress after they treated you like that? I could have left, I told her. found another company, started over somewhere else. But that would have meant walking away from 18 months of work. It would have meant letting Charles believe that technical expertise really was replaceable. So you stayed to prove a point. I stayed to protect the work, I said. The point proved itself. She understood that. Engineers always do. The anniversary celebration this year looked different. Charles introduced me as Chief Technology Officer and founding partner. Preston was notably absent, having found his calling in real estate development where family connections actually mattered more than regulatory expertise. Danny got recognized for his work on the new patient portal system. Carl received an award for maintaining perfect compliance scores across 3 state audits. The people who'd stood with me in the back of the room that first year were now sitting at the head table. The projector showed slides with our names on them this time. Proper attribution for the work we'd actually done. After the formal program ended, Charles approached me near the bar. He was holding a champagne flute, same as that night 2 years ago. "I owe you more than an apology," he said. "You don't owe me anything," I replied. "You pay market rate for expertise. Now that's how business should work." He nodded. "I've been thinking about that $50. "What about it? It wasn't an insult," he said. "It was education, expensive education, for both of us," I agreed. That framed bill still hangs in my office. New employees ask about it during their orientation. I tell them it represents the day someone learned the difference between cost and value. Cost is what you pay. Value is what you get. Technical expertise that prevents regulatory fines, maintains client trust, and builds industry-leading systems that has measurable value. It can't be replaced with good intentions or family loyalty. The healthcare industry learned that lesson too. Compliance requirements got stricter after several high-profile data breaches at companies that prioritized connections over competence. Hospital networks started requiring specific technical certifications for any vendor handling patient data. Family businesses could still hire family members. They just couldn't put them in charge of systems they didn't understand. Preston occasionally shows up in industry news, usually announcing new real estate developments. Good for him. Everyone deserves to find work that matches their skills. Charles runs a more profitable company now, with proper succession planning and technical leadership that can't be undermined by politics. The Harvard case study gets cited in business journals as an example of how family enterprises can balance tradition with expertise. And me, I keep building systems that work, training the next generation of healthcare IT professionals, making sure the people who do technical work get the recognition and protection they deserve. Because here's what I learned from that $50 bill and everything that followed. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion of your value. It's determined by what breaks when you're not there to fix it. So if you're reading this and you're the person who keeps the systems running, who prevents the disasters, who does the real work while others take credit, remember something. You're not just technical support, you're infrastructure. And infrastructure doesn't ask permission to be essential. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Not for $50, not for any amount. Build something they can't replace, then make sure they never forget why they need you. Thanks for listening.